Welcome everyone to Identity, Behavior, Career Counseling Center. Today our topic is Career in Defense. So we have with us today Captain Uday Chandra Mouli from Indian Army, who has put in 4 years of service in Jammu and Kashmir. He is an engineering graduate who cleared Ssb in his second attempt in 2014 and came overall 8th in All India merit. He has also undergone 18 months of training in the prestigious Indian Military Academy. So, Captain Uday, welcome to Identity, Behavior, Career Counseling Center.
Thank you so much.
I would like to start with the first question. What was the feeling when you first got the news that you are selected for Indian Army?
It was actually in the year 2014, while it was my second attempt, that when the merit list was out, I was checking it for the Indian Military Academy through the CDS entry. Then I could see my name in the 8th overall as merit. I felt very happy and I thought that that is the biggest achievement of my life. And my dream actually came true.
Alright, thank you so much. So that's what the feeling every viewer wants to know, that what exactly it feels when you get selected for your country, and that's defense and that's Indian Army. Thank you so much for this response. And let's have one today. We have an interaction with you so that students especially, they have a lot of questions like how the career in defense, what the entry, was the skills required, how can I really dream of realistically. So based on all these points, we'll have a discussion today. Sure. So my first question for you is that when is that someone should decide for defense as a career?
There are two main specific areas in your career while you can decide defense as a career is after your 10 plus 2. While you're doing your plus 2, you can decide defense as a career because you have the avenues of National Defense Academy as well as the 10 plus 2 TES entry. If you miss that, even while you're doing the graduation also, you can decide to pursue defense as a career because you have many options available to you even after graduation. So these are the two junctures at which one can decide that defense is my career.
So the next important question is, what's the minimum eligibility to join defense services in the officer cadre?
Firstly, when one tries to join the officer cadre, he should understand that what are the ways or paths in front of me. Firstly, it is after 10 plus 2. One can go for the National Defense Academy or the 10 plus 2 TES entry. If it is for the National Defense Academy, you have both the Army, Navy as well as the Air Force cadets undergoing training there. For the Army, one can be from any stream with minimum 60% aggregate in his plus 2. And it is for Navy and Air Force, one should have mathematics and physics primarily in their plus 2 and pass with 60% aggregate. If it is 10 plus 2 TES entry, one should have maths, physics and chemistry as the discipline. Post which, after graduation, if you want to go for the officer cadre, you can have again multiple avenues. Most popular one is the Combined Defense Services Examination, through which one can go from any stream. If one wants permanent commission, he should give maths primarily in the examination. If one goes for the short service commission, he can go without mathematics and he can give only English and general knowledge for the OTA training in OTA Gaya or OTA Chennai. So hence, the minimum eligibility criteria you can go with actually any discipline you want. Whichever matches you with whatever it is available to you. Army takes you for any discipline, but Navy and Air Force always wants you from maths and physics background.
There is a conception everyone thinks, especially students, that to get into the defense, especially after 12th, we need to be from science background. Is that right?
If one aspires to be an officer in the Indian Navy or Indian Air Force, they have to be from the science background. If one aspires to be an officer in the Indian Army, then he can be from any stream. Okay. There is no specific criteria for Indian Army.
Arts,
he can be from arts,
commerce,
definitely.
From
the other backgrounds as well. Yes.
All right. So let's talk about the very important entrance examination, especially NDA, National Defense Academy. So what is the exam pattern that students should prepare accordingly to get into NDA?
To be commissioned as an officer in the Indian Defense Forces, UPSC conducts examinations for National Defense Academy, which is after 10 plus 2, and for Indian Military Academy, which is after graduation, and also for the officer training academies in Gaya and Chennai. So the pattern of examination is same. The examination will be of 6 hours. with 3 papers, 2 hours each: maths, English, and general knowledge. If you are going for a permanent commission, then you have to attempt maths. If you are going for only short service commission, which is training in OTA Gaya and OTA Chennai, you can only go for English and general knowledge. Okay. So the exam is for roughly around 300 marks, and it is the duration for 6 hours.
Alright. So what is the difficulty level of this examination?
The difficulty level of this examination as per UPSC pattern, I would say it is moderate. If you are good with your plus 2 in your disciplines, as well as after graduation, if you have good touch with maths, English, and general knowledge, the questions will be pitched at a moderate level, and with a good preparation one can easily get through it.
Suppose somebody is preparing for a joint entrance examination for engineering, for JEE Mains and JEE Advanced. So the level of preparation they are doing for JEE Engineering, I think that will suffice for this preparation as well?
I would say that is more than sufficient. If one is preparing for JEE Mains or Advanced or any other competitive examination, this level of examination will be a shade lower than that examination.
So there is no separate preparation for NDA examination, right?
No, it is the same set of syllabus which they will prepare.
Alright, that's what viewers, that's a question which was clarified, that you don't need to have a separate preparation. Yes, there is a 19-20 difference always, but the level of preparation you are doing for engineering entrance examination, that will suffice for this as well. But you need to be very focused that yes, especially the exam pattern of NDA, if you're preparing, you're rehearsing, you're practicing the series, probably that will help you out. Alright, so now can we discuss the graduate examination, especially the CDS, Combined Defense Service. So tell me something about this, please.
Combined Defense Services examination is after your graduation. Even when you are in the final year of graduation, one can attempt this examination. The notification comes twice a year, and the entry again is divided into 2 parts. One can get into a permanent commission and one can get into a short service commission. Okay. So if you give maths in the examination, you can go for a permanent commission. If you do not give it, you can go for short service commission in both, in all 3 services, which is Army, Navy, and the Air Force. It is again for the 6 hours examination of 300 marks.
So if there is a permanent commission, so why there is an option of short service commissions?
There will be few aspirants who aspire about a career in defense, who wants to work for the country for few years, and then they want to serve the country for few years, move out and do something for themselves. So for that kind of people with that opportunity, the Defense Forces has introduced Short Service Commission, which provides you with the 10 years of mandatory service as of now, and plus if one wants to serve more, he can serve for 4 more years. After which, if one can apply, he will be approved for permanent commission. If one is looking for a career completely in defense, he wants to work in this organization till his retirement, then that is permanent commission. If one is looking for a career for few years in defense and few years with other avenues available with him, then for him it is short service commission.
Okay, so as we could understand, short service commission is mandatorily for 10 years, minimum 10 years.
Yes.
Or like we have 5 years as well.
Previously it was 5 years, now it was extended to 10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
Alright. So minimum 10 years required. So viewers, for your understanding, so we have 2 commissions, one is permanent, one is short service. And if you have desire to get into defense and you have gone into it, and later on you want to pursue your own passion, if you have something which you have inculcated in your academic life, in your school life or college life, then you can always go after this after 10 years minimum service there. Alright, so can we, let's move on to the next question. How to prepare for the written examination? Because everybody knows that this is the way we should prepare, the entrance examination and the syllabus. Then how to prepare? What should be your level of preparation to crack these examinations?
I would definitely say, I have even seen people who have cracked the examination without preparation. They are the ones who have prepared for example, for JEE Mains or some other UPSC level examination after graduation. So, good level of preparation is definitely required for this, because when I have given the examination, roughly around 2 to 2.5 lakhs have attempted the paper, out of which 5,000 have cleared the examination. They got the call letters for SSB. So getting the call letter for SSB is primarily the first step in the selection process. Okay. Hence they should prepare well. This is something which is there in their hands. So good level of preparation always gives you good marks. As well as I would like to mention one more point which I got to know later, that the amount of marks what you get in the written examination have some weightage in your overall merit. So hence, if you get good marks and someone who is just a borderline, this someone who got good marks might help him in the overall merit list later if you got selected.
Okay, so we have written examination, that's a qualifying exam, followed by Ssb interviews. So suppose someone is very good at extracurricular activities, he has got academic credentials, he has got a lot of meritorious achievement in terms of co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities. So does that add any benefit while selection, during selection?
During selection, they do not have a specific entry, but they definitely will be taken into account when that individual will be assessed in the service selection board, that is Ssb, during the interview, during the psychological test, as well as when one goes through the individual's biodata, they get to know his accolades or achievements. So they definitely will be taken into account, but we cannot say that he has got some very good medal in some field or event that he is guaranteed a position in the army, because
so that doesn't have any weightage.
Completely unbiased for any person. Okay. It is no reservation for anyone and no special category. It is completely unbiased for any individual who is coming from any stream.
Alright. So viewers, what we understood now, followed by a qualifying exam, we have to go for Ssb interviews, and there is no special weightage for your academic credentials or your extracurricular activities. So you have to put in high level of efforts, especially in Ssb interviews, if you really want to crack this. Back to our conversation, Captain Uday. Is it true that written examination is waived off for NCC aspirants?
Actually, written examination is not mandatory for entries like university entry scheme. It is for the engineering students from the engineering discipline. So they can get the call letters directly for SSB. For them, examination is not required. For TGC candidates, examination is not required for the technical graduate course, as well as for the NCC C certificate holders who got something more than B grade in their C certificate. They can also directly get the call letters for SSB with the specified vacancies given for that particular stream. So these are all the ways where the examination is not mandatory, unlike NDA or CDS.
So would you, as someone who is a part of Indian Army, the upcoming generation, those who are into schools, so would you always recommend them, you should always join NCC so that it will, if really dreaming to get into defense?
I would say that if one is really dreaming to get into defense, he should join something like NCC so that he can get a feel of it, and he can really understand whether my mentality or my personality suits this type of living. Because many aspire to do something, but few only work hard for that. So when somebody can find himself or herself matched with the organization's requirement, then he can pursue a career in the defense or something. If you can get into the NCC and you know that this lifestyle doesn't suit me, then maybe I would suggest that don't go for it. You have many other opportunities available to you.
Great, very well explained. What is SSB and its role in selection process?
SSB is called the Service Selection Board. This board is for the interviewing the candidates who got the call letters for selection into the officer cadre for all the tri-services, for the Army, for the Navy, as well as for the Air Force. It is the most important step in the selection process. Any individual who is going by any stream, by any way, with the examination, without the examination, or NCC, has to go through SSB. And if one is recommended by the SSB, he will move ahead in the selection process. If one is not recommended in the SSB, his selection process is terminated immediately. So hence, this holds the pivotal role in the selection process.
Okay, the students after 12th, they get into defense through NDA, right? So is there any level of difficulty which is any difference for NDA, SSB, the complications of SSB interviews, the standard of SSB interviews for NDA is different and CDS is different, or it's the same?
This is actually a very good question. Now, one always questions the level or the difficulty of the SSB with different streams. I would like to say that SSP difficulty or the level stays or remains always the same for any individual from any stream. The primary reason for that is if an individual is meeting a certain threshold which is put by the SSP, that this is something what one should cross to be selected or to be recommended by the SSP. Only the individuals who cross that limit were recommended and the others were not. I have even seen that in my own batch there were 200 vacancies but only 100 were recommended. So that means it clearly shows that they are not going for filling the vacancies. They are only looking for candidates who will make up the threshold mark, who will cross that mark. And then those individuals only are recommended. That is the very reason why after 4 years of service in this organization, I very well realized that in my own unit, 25 officers were supposed to be posted while there were only 12. Okay. So we are into serious deficiency, but the organization doesn't fill the vacancy so easily. One has to cross the mark.
So the standard of SSB interviews is the same for NDA as well as CDS.
Exactly, it is always the same.
So viewers, note it. So there is no real difference in SSB interview standard when it comes to NDA or CDS, and it does not differentiate between age. It's all about the standard of SSB interviews. All right. What are the skills required for aspiring defense candidates?
Firstly, if he is aspiring to be a part of National Defense Academy or a part of Indian Military Academy, through the written examination, one should be good with maths, the basics of +2 of maths, English as well as general knowledge. And the main qualities is he should have a very good personality which suits the defense as an organization requirement. Now his personality should have what is called the officer-like qualities. They are numerous. For example, courage, determination, decision-making capability. So qualities like this, integrity, loyalty, qualities like these are assessed in the SSP. And a person with these qualities will be recommended. So he should have a good personality with always the skill set of the logical mind or aptitude mind what one has. But he should have the personality which matches what the organization is asking from you. Then one is selected.
I have an intriguing question here. Suppose the way I have received the upbringing from my family, or maybe the environment or the culture around me, I could not be very much honest, or I found situations something different which is not very generic for me, right? So can I fake completely opposite when it comes to SSB interviews, or we can be caught over there?
That's a great question. And now I would like to explain how things go in SSB in a simple manner. You have basically 3 steps in SSB. The first one is the psychological test, where an individual is assessed on how he thinks. And then we have the ground tasks, where an individual is assessed on how he behaves on ground. And then we have an interview, where an individual is assessed on how he speaks. Now these tests are independent by independent examiners, and then the results are collated. So one brings out the results of how you think, one brings out the results of how you behave on ground, and one brings out the results of how you speak. These 3 things have to coincide and form a triangle. Okay. This triangle has to meet the requirement of the organization. Hence, if you fake it in one test, it will be easily brought by the other test. So you cannot easily fake it. Okay. And you will be given very little time for each test. So you don't have time to fake it. If you want to fake it in one question, you may skip 10 questions because of the lack of time. So you have to be truthful in the examination.
So aspirants of defense, let's understand one thing. It's very clear now that if you really want to get into defense, the kind of officer-like qualities they usually measure, they assess, we need to start cultivating within ourselves. We have to start inculcating. If you find that, yes, this is a part of my life, my personality, the same thing will reflect when you go and face the SSB interviews. If we have not experienced that, those officer-like qualities, and directly we go and face it, probably we'll find it difficult to crack it. Back to a discussion. How should one prepare for SSB?
I would say that many institutions and organizations who train individuals for SSB, recommend them to give it fresh for the first time and then call them for the training or something. I have cracked the SSB in my second attempt. My best advice is you have to once go through what all tests are there in the SSB day by day, and maybe you can do some preparation on your own. But when you go for the SSB, you have to be truthful. You have to bring out the feelings what you innately have within you. So you develop yourself as a person rather than being trained in an organization, because you will get very little time for every test. So hence you cannot fake every answer. So that has to be innately within your personality. So I would recommend note down the qualities, develop those qualities within yourself, know what are the tests will be there in SSB, go and attempt them honestly and see whether you get selected or not.
Some students, they after being qualified in the examination, written examination, they feel like going for the coaching centers, they enroll themselves to get prepared for the SSB. Do you recommend that, or the books are also available with very clear definition? Will that do, or do we need to connect someone from army like you that he can really guide us? So what is the best medium would you recommend?
I would say that personally I haven't gone for any coaching institute or coaching. There are many individuals with me who have undergone training, who have gone through, maybe 50% of them, of the individuals who got selected, have gone through coaching institutes. Actually, I feel they do not make a difference. If you have a personality which suits the organization and you were able to bring your qualities in the SSB in the hour of time when it was asked from you, then you are selected, whether you are a product of an institute or you are not. So it is you who matters more than the training which was imparted to you. So they don't bring about much change in you as a person. It's you, always you. How you were brought up by your parents, who are your friends, how is your college education, everything makes a mark on you, and that is you as a person, and then you will be assessed.
Right, thank you so much. And now, so we very commonly ask questions, so let's discuss that. Okay. It's in rapid fire way. How many attempts one should give to clear SSB?
This is a tough one. And now how many I have personally, I have given with a friend of mine who has given 17 attempts for SSB and he hasn't cleared it. And there are many people who has cleared it in the first attempt. There are many who go for it thrice, 4 times, 5 times, keep on going. I would say that not more than 5, because maybe you were unable to bring out the best in you in 1 or 2 attempts, but within 5 you will definitely have an opportunity to bring the best in you. After you have brought the best in you and they have not selected you, that means maybe you are not fit for the defense service. You may be fit for many other avenues which are present in life, but you are not suitable for this organization. This organization requires a specific set of skills which maybe they are not seeing it in you. So give only 5. Do not waste your time much more than that. Maybe this is not for you, you can go for other things.
Alright, thank you so much for explaining to our viewers about this. Let's talk about women. How can you forget women? When I visit any schools and for a career counseling session, and there are some girls that will come up and ask, sir, can we not get into defense? What is the career for us? So my question is, what is the career for women as officer in the defense services?
Now there are a lot of things which are also going around, as you can see in the judicial system also, where women are asking many things. And I would like to explain the existing system rather than the changes which are being brought about. As of now, women can enter as officers into all tri-services, into Army, Navy as well as the Air Force. But there are 2 things. In every service, there is a combat arm and there is a non-combat arm. At present, women are given opportunity only in the non-combat arms. That is the first important aspect. Second, women are only short service commissioned officers. So they get training from OTA Chennai. And they get trained from OTA Chennai as short service officers only. So these 2 are the most important things. So they can be commissioned. Yes, they have opportunities available for them. They have to be from 19 to 25 years of age. And then after graduation, they can go for the examination, they can clear it, and then they can go for short service commission in the non-combat arms within the tri-services.
So it's the same 10 years for them as well?
Exactly. It is 10 years plus 4. But they cannot continue it for a permanent commission. They have to finish it off with that 10 plus 4.
Okay, so that's
it.
That is
If
not
for the
there.
men, they can continue it. If they get an opportunity, they can apply, and approved, they can continue for permanent commission. But so is not the case with women. That is just short service for them.
So girls, and especially the women category, you have a chance, you have an opportunity to serve your country. So if you have any innovation that yes, whether girls are fit for army, navy, air force or not, please, that is a myth, that is a misconception. You have a chance, you have an opportunity, you can also try and serve the country. Now the question is professional path. What is the professional path in defense which is most popular and it's achievable?
The thing which is most popular is, I would say, National Defense Academy. The reason why, because when one is at the level of +2, he is being promised with a class A level gazetted post, which is not the case with any other organization or service. So it is, I would say, the best path one could take. I would state the reasons. First reason is he is very young. He can be nurtured, or he can be nurtured. And then National Defense Academy is a premier organization. And if you get selected for NDA, you will do 3 years in National Defense Academy and 1 year in Indian Military Academy, and then you pass out. So you come out as an officer at the age of 21 to 22 years, that's it. So you start your career with a very young age. So you have a lot of years in front of you. You can achieve better ranks, you can go take further promotions, you have a good age factor within you, your body is young, you can be easily nurtured, you can be physically fit. So definitely I would say NDA is one of the best ways to crack the defense services.
Alright. What is the duration of training post selection?
The duration of training is different again for different streams. Now I would say, firstly I would like to divide permanent commission and short service commission. Permanent commission academies is Indian Military Academy, and short service commission academy is Officer Training Academy, Chennai. Now permanent commission academy, the cadets from NDA, 3 years after completion of training in NDA, they come to IMA for further 1 more year. So they totally undergo 4 years of training, and then they pass out from Indian Military Academy as officer, commissioned officer. And if one goes through combined defense services as a permanent commission, he will undergo 18 months of training directly in Indian Military Academy, and then he passes out from the Indian Military Academy as a commissioned officer. If one goes in the UES or TGC entry scheme as permanent commissioned officers in Indian Military Academy, they will undergo a training of 1 year.
Okay.
And they will also get an anti-date seniority of 1 year. So they are undergoing a training of 1 year only with a seniority of 1 year, which is not the case for NDA as well as for the CDS. Now let me come to the short service commissioned officers. Short service commissioned officers go for a training of 9 months in OTHNI, same in the case of male as well as the female cadets. So they undergo a training of 9 months only, and then they pass out from OTHNI for a mandatory service of 10 years plus 4 and further approval. So this is the duration.
Alright. What if you are not selected?
Now many aspirants, when I have given personally my SSB, I have spoken to many individuals who have come for the SSB. They were very demotivated after not being selected. I would say that this is an organization which selects individuals not based upon your quantitative achievements but upon your qualitative skills. So if your skill set matches the organization, then only you will be taken. Maybe you're much better in a different service rather than being in a defense service. You're not maybe suitable for defense, but you will thrive in some other service definitely in your life. So many big names like Abdul Kalam, Rahul Dravid, they didn't clear the SSB, but they have done exceptionally well in their own particular fields. So I would say that if you haven't cleared it, or after 4 or 5 attempts you haven't done it, please don't be demotivated. You should work hard for other services. Maybe something better is there in your life. This is not the end. This is not judging you as your capability. This is just a requirement. This is a suitability, not a capability. Your capability is definitely there. You can thrive in other areas.
Great. Very well said, sir. There are students who aspire to get into defense, especially after 12th. They go for NDA, followed by Ssb interviews. So is it decided? Do they have a choice that they would go for Army, Navy, Air Force, or it is decided later? What is the case?
When one applies for the examination, then only he has to fill the form. Is it for the Air Force, is it for the Navy, or is it for the Army? He has to give the options. And based upon his merit, the merit is first for the Air Force, and then for the Navy, and then for the Army. The reason being the number of vacancies are the least in the Air Force, and then the Navy, and then the Army. It is 200 vacancies for Army, while it was just, I think, only 30 or 40 in Air Force. Same is the case with Navy. So if one gives his option as Indian Air Force, he gets selected by SSB, but his merit is not high. So he will get an option next, which is Navy. If not, he will be getting in the option of Army. If he wishes, he can go for it. If not, he can drop.
And then he can again prepare.
He can again prepare and give an attempt. So that is the he has to give an option while he is appearing for the examination. He has to give an option, and based upon his merit list, he will be given an option of which service. That is how it works.
One important last question: during SSB interviews, there is a major role which psychological tests play. So can you say something about that? What are those psychological tests, and how does that make a difference in the selection? How shall we better prepare for it?
After the first day of screening in the SS Service Selection Board, when around roughly 100-150 students would come for the SSB, only 30 to 40 are selected for the remaining 4 days of the interview. The interview is of the duration of 5 days. The first day screening is done. Only 30 to 40 candidates are selected or shortlisted. On day 2 will be completely dedicated for psychological test. That will be having thematic appreciation test, where you will be shown a picture for 30 seconds and you have to write a story for 4 minutes. Like that, you will be shown 11 pictures. The last one being blank, you can write any story of your own. So that is the thematic appreciation test. Then there is, which is also thematic appreciation, TAT. Then we have a word association test, WAT, where you will be shown a word for 10 seconds and you have to frame a sentence using that word and write it down. Like that, you will be shown 60 words. And then you have a situation appreciation test, situation reaction test, SRT, where you will be given a situation and every situation 30 seconds. You have to write your response. Like that, you will have 60 situations. Lastly, you will have a self-description test, where you have to write about your parents, your friends, how you perceive about yourself. So it is about, basically, you have to write what people think about you.
What teachers perceive about you, what friends perceive about you.
What parents perceive about you, teachers.
And what you perceive about yourself.
What you perceive about yourself. So this wholly encompasses the psychological test on day 2. That's it.
Alright, thank you, Captain Uday, for your guidance for our students and our especially aspirants who are aiming to get into the career of defense. One last message to the audience, last message to the aspirants: what it takes to become a defense professional.
I would say definitely all the aspirants, there are many in this country of 130 crores population, many individuals having the capability which matches the organization requirement. So more of the people should aspire to have a career in the defense, maybe for the country or as a career. This is great. So you should try and go for an SSB and be selected. Work hard for that, give your examination, be good as a person, showcase your personality, be vibrant, be confident, and see whether you can make it or not. I wish good luck for all the aspirants, and I hope we have covered all the essential aspects.
Thank you, Captain Uday, for being with us today, and we wish that you grow in your career and you serve the country in a better way than before.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.